Here is a code woven into the fabric of your being, a silent whisper in the helix of your existence, waiting patiently, persistently, for the moment you finally listen. For centuries, the truth about your DNA has been obscured, tucked away in the vaults of ancient mystery schools, encrypted in sacred texts, and buried beneath the weight of institutionalized knowledge. But the secret remains, pulsing like a dormant frequency in every cell of your body, in every strand of your genetic blueprint. This is not merely biological data. This is a God code, the living scripture of your divine potential, and it has been hidden from you for a reason. Imagine, if you will, that your DNA is not just a molecule, but a cosmic antenna, a receiver and transmitter of energies far beyond the crude mechanics of genetic expression. Science has long told us that DNA is the instruction manual for life. But what if it is also the key to unlocking dimensions of consciousness we've been conditioned to believe are myth? What if the double helix is not just a biological structure, but a spiral staircase leading upward toward realms of perception, power, and even ascension? The illusion of separation. We have been taught that we are separate from each other, from nature, from the divine. Our DNA, we are told, is a fixed script, an unchangeable inheritance passed down through bloodlines, dictating our fate. But this is a grand illusion, the veil carefully draped over humanity's eyes. The truth is far more radical. Your DNA is alive, responsive, and capable of rewriting itself, not just through genetic engineering, but through thought, intention, and the awakening of latent spiritual energies. Ancient civilizations knew this. The Egyptians encoded it in their hieroglyphs. The Vedic seers spoke of it in the language of Kundalini, and the esoteric traditions of Kabbalah and Hermetic sciences all pointed to one undeniable truth. You are not just a body with a soul. You are a soul with a body, and your DNA is the bridge between them, the suppression of the divine blueprint. Why has this knowledge been suppressed? Because to awaken to the truth of your DNA is to reclaim sovereignty over your own existence. It is to realize that you are not a passive recipient of genetic fate, but an active participant in your own evolution. The powers that have shaped our world, religious institutions, scientific dogma, and systems of control, have thrived on humanity's ignorance of its own divine architecture. To keep you believing you are small, limited, and powerless is to keep you from accessing the God code within you. But the time of forgetting is ending. A great remembering is unfolding across the planet, as more and more souls begin to sense the dormant potential humming within their cells. Synchronicities multiply. Dreams grow vivid. The body tingles with strange, electric currents. These are not coincidences. They are signs of activation, the awakening signal. What if the recent surges in global consciousness, the sudden interest in meditation, energy healing, and ancient wisdom are not random trends, but part of a larger orchestrated shift? What if humanity is being called home, not to a physical place, but to a state of being where the full potential of our DNA is finally unlocked? This is not a metaphor. This is biological spirituality, the meeting point of science and mysticism where the impossible becomes tangible. Russian scientists like Dr. Peter Garyaev have already demonstrated that DNA responds to linguistic frequencies, that words and intentions can alter genetic expression. The work of Dr. Bruce Lipton reveals that our beliefs rewrite our biology. And the ancient shamans, the alchemists, the seers, they all spoke of light bodies, of luminous strands within us that, when activated, could transcend the limits of mortality itself. The journey ahead. This is not just about self-improvement. This is about evolutionary ignition. In the pages that follow, we will unravel the hidden layers of your DNA's true purpose. How it connects you to the quantum field, how it holds the memories of past lives and future potentials, and most importantly, how you can awaken it. This is a secret they never wanted you to know. Your DNA is not just a record of where you've been. It is the map to where you are going. Your DNA is not a static relic of biological determinism. It is a living, breathing dialogue between matter and spirit, a conversation written in the language of light. To understand its hidden potential, we must first dismantle the illusion that genes are fixed, unchangeable scripts handed down by an indifferent universe. Modern epigenetics has already shattered this dogma, proving that environment, thought, and emotion can switch genes on and off like cosmic light switches. But this is only the surface of a far deeper mystery, the forgotten science of biospiritual resonance. Long before microscopes revealed the double helix, ancient culture spoke of DNA as a twisting serpent of energy, Kundalini in Vedic tradition, the caduceus of Hermes, the entwined snakes of Asclepius. These were not mere symbols. They were metaphysical maps pointing to a truth modern science is only beginning to grasp. DNA is a fractal antenna, tuned to the frequencies of creation itself. Russian biophysicist Pyotr Gargijev and his team discovered that DNA emits and absorbs coherent laser-like light, suggesting it functions as a quantum holographic projector. Even more astonishing, their experiments showed that DNA responds to linguistic patterns, words, sounds, and intentions, altering its structure in real time. This means the old mystical idea of sacred syllables like mantras or the logos shaping reality isn't just poetry, it's hard science. Your DNA is listening. The junk DNA deception. For decades, mainstream biology dismissed over 97% of our DNA as junk, useless evolutionary leftovers. But what if the so-called junk is actually the encrypted firmware of human ascension? Remote viewers, clairvoyance, and even declassified CIA documents describe non-local DNA, segments that exist beyond space-time, acting as bridges between dimensions. Indigenous shamans and esoteric traditions have long claimed that we only use a fraction of our DNA's true capacity, and the rest awaits activation through ritual, sound, or consciousness shifts. The God Code, your cosmic blueprint. The most radical idea of all, your DNA is not just yours. It is a shared archive, a living library connecting you to every human who has ever lived, and to something far greater. The work of Dr. Brenda Fox, a holistic practitioner documented in the Phoenix Journals, revealed that some individuals are spontaneously developing new DNA strands, correlating with heightened psychic abilities and immunity to diseases. Meanwhile, the Human Genome Project quietly confirmed that our DNA contains non-human sequences, segments with no evolutionary precedent on Earth. Are these the fingerprints of interstellar ancestry, as theorists like Zecharia Sitchin proposed? Or are they dormant codes, placed there by a higher intelligence, waiting for humanity to reach a critical frequency of collective awakening? Either way, one thing is clear. Your DNA is a covenant between the seen and unseen worlds. The three pillars of DNA activation. To work with this knowledge, we must recognize three core principles. Frequency over form. DNA is not just chemistry, it is resonance. Just as a crystal glass shatters at the right pitch, your genes respond to specific vibrational inputs, meditation, sacred sound, like solfeggio frequencies, and even the silent hum of intention. Memory beyond the brain. Your cells hold memories your mind has forgotten, past lives, ancestral trauma, even future incarnations. Trauma loops and genetic diseases are often unprocessed energy, waiting to be alchemized. The light body upgrade. Ancient texts speak of the Merkaba or rainbow body, a luminous matrix that forms when DNA fully activates. Modern accounts of near-death experiencers and yogis describe spontaneous DNA repair and cellular regeneration, hinting at what's possible when we unlock our full genetic potential. The control matrix and the awakening. Why has this knowledge been suppressed? Because a species that remembers its divine blueprint cannot be controlled. Religions replace direct DNA communion with priests and rituals. Pharmaceuticals override the body's self-healing intelligence. Even the education system trains us to see ourselves as separate from the cosmos, rather than co-creators of it. But the veil is thinning. As solar flares bombard Earth with Schumann resonance spikes, as millions awaken to synchronicities and psychic surges, the question is no longer humanity will remember, but how fast. Your DNA is upgrading, whether you're aware of it or not. The choice is this. Will you participate consciously or let it happen to you? There are stories woven into your DNA, not as metaphor, but as living myth. These are not tales of distant gods or long-dead heroes, but archetypal echoes resonating in your cells, waiting to be remembered. To grasp the full power of your genetic potential, we must step beyond sterile laboratories and into the dreamlike logic of symbolic wisdom, where science and allegory merge into a single truth. The serpent in the spine, Kundalini as genetic awakening. Across cultures, the serpent coils around the staff of Hermes, up the tree of life, along the spine of a yogi. This is no accident. The Kundalini serpent is not merely an esoteric concept. It is the primal energy of your DNA, the coiled attention at the base of your spine that, when awakened, rewrites your biological and spiritual code. Ancient tantric texts describe Kundalini as a feminine fire that rises through 7 gates, chakras, each corresponding to a specific genetic activation. Modern mystics report uncanny phenomena during Kundalini awakenings: sudden fluency in forgotten languages, memories of past lives, even temporary changes in eye color or body temperature, as if the body is rebooting under a new operating system. But why a serpent? Because the serpent sheds its skin. It is the ultimate symbol of transmutation. Just as a snake discards the old to reveal the new beneath, your DNA, when activated, begins to shed limiting genetic expressions, unlocking latent capacities buried in the so-called junk code. The phoenix gene, death and rebirth encoded. In Egyptian myth, the phoenix burns itself to ashes, only to rise renewed. This is not just a pretty story. It mirrors the apoptosis process in your cells, where old or damaged cells self-destruct to make way for new growth. But what if this cycle extends beyond the physical? Near-death experiencers often report returning with healing abilities, heightened intuition, or even spontaneous remission of diseases. Dr. Eben Alexander, the neurosurgeon who spent 7 days in a coma, described his ND as an upgrade, a recalibration of his very being. Shamans speak of soul loss and retrieval, where trauma fractures illumine his body, and healing requires reassembling the genetic spiritual blueprint. This suggests that your DNA holds a phoenix code, a program for radical regeneration, but one that requires a shattering of old identities to activate. The cosmic twins, double helix as divine duality. Your DNA's double helix mirrors the universal dance of opposites: light and dark, masculine and feminine, particle and wave. The Mayans depicted this as the hero twins, one representing the sun, the other the underworld. Alchemy framed it as the sacred marriage of sulfur and mercury. Even the Bible's Jacob wrestling the angel echoes this theme, the self confronting its own hidden strands. This duality is not a problem to solve, but dynamic tension that generates life. When one strand of your DNA is dormant, as modern science claims 97% is, you live in imbalance. But when both strands hum in harmony, you become a conduit for cosmic creativity, what the ancients called walking between the worlds. The forbidden fruit, a genetic allegory? Re-examine the Garden of Eden myth. What if the forbidden fruit was not disobedience, but premature genetic activation? The serpent, Kundalini, offers knowledge, and Yahweh warns that eating it will make humans like gods, which is exactly what happens. They gain self-awareness, but also exile from primal unity. This mirrors the modern human condition. We have enough consciousness to question our existence, but not enough to fully remember our divinity. The fall may not have been a punishment, but an incomplete initiation, a partial DNA awakening that left us stranded between animal and angel, the lost language of the gods. The Bible claims that a unified humanity, speaking one language, built the Tower of Babel until God confused their tongues. But what if this language was not just words, but a literal genetic frequency code? The Kabbalistic tradition teaches that Hebrew letters are vibrational matrices, each corresponding to a part of the body and cosmos. Similarly, Sanskrit mantras are designed to resonate with specific DNA sequences. The Hindu AUM, when chanted correctly, creates a standing wave in the brain and spine, a sonic key for genetic activation. This suggests that our true mother tongue is not a human language, but a bio-spiritual frequency, one that we are now, as a species, beginning to recall: the Grail in your cells. The Holy Grail, legends speak of a vessel holding eternal life. But what if the Grail is not an object, but your DNA? Medieval alchemists sought the elixir of life, not as a potion, but as an internal transformation, the turning of lead dormant DNA into gold activated light body. Modern science edges toward this truth. Telomeres, the protective caps on DNA strands, shorten with age, but studies show meditation and certain frequencies can lengthen them, effectively slowing biological aging. The Grail was never lost. It's in your blood. The grand revelation of your DNA's hidden potential means nothing if it remains abstract philosophy. The true test of this knowledge lies in embodied transformation, how it alters the way you breathe, think, heal, and create in the tangible world. This is where myth becomes metabolism, where cosmic truth rewires your daily life. The body as a laboratory of light. Every spiritual tradition agrees. Enlightenment must be earned through the flesh. You cannot think your way into genetic activation. You must live it into being. Consider the following practices, not as steps, but as fluid invitations to dialogue with your own biology. 1. Sound as genetic surgery. The work of Dr. Masaru Emoto demonstrated that water crystals rearrange themselves under the influence of words and music. Since your body is 70% water, imagine what sacred sounds, solfeggio frequencies, Gregorian chants, or even your own voice and mantra can do to your DNA. Try this. Hum OM 432 Hz for 11 minutes daily, focusing the vibration at your spine. Over time, this may stimulate Kundalini awakening and repair telomeres. Experiment with DNA activation tracks, like those by Jonathan Goldman, which use binaural beats to entrain your cells. 2. The food of the gods. The ancients spoke of ambrosia and soma, elixirs that conferred immortality. Modern science reveals that fasting polyphenol-rich foods, berries, cacao, and certain fungi, like lion's mane mushroom, upregulate genes responsible for neurogenesis and cellular repair. Intermittent fasting, for instance, triggers autophagy, where your body consumes damaged cells, akin to the phoenix's rebirth cycle. 3. Quantum intention setting. The Garjajev DNA experiments prove that language alters genetics. Apply this by writing positive affirmations in present tense. My DNA is fully activated, and placing them under your pillow. Sleep is when your subconscious reprograms. Using light language and intuitive, non-linear speech that bypasses a logical mind. Many report spontaneous healings when channeling these sounds. 4. Geometric codes in motion. Yoga was never just exercise. It is geometry for body, aligning your meridians with sacred ratios. The Fibonacci sequence appears in your DNA's structure. Replicating it through movement, like Tai Chi or Qigong, can harmonize your biofield, breaking the trauma loops. Your DNA carries ancestral memories, not metaphorically, but in the form of methyl groups that silence or express genes based on past experiences. This is why phobias be inherited. Studies show mice pass fear memories to offspring. Family trauma patterns, addiction, poverty, replay until consciously interrupted. Practical alchemy. Family constellations therapy can reveal and reset these imprints. Psychedelics, under guidance, have been shown to reset default mode networks, allowing DNA to shed old programs. The social organism, collective DNA awakening. You are not upgrading in isolation. As more people activate their latent codes, a morphogenetic field builds, making it easier for others to follow. This explains the 100th monkey effect, where behavior spreads rapidly once critical mass is reached. Global meditations lowering crime rates, as in the 1993 Washington, D.C. experiment. Action step: join or initiate group meditations focused on human unity. The Global Coherent Initiative uses heart coherence to influence Earth's electromagnetic field. The shadow work of activation. Awakening DNA is not all light. As dormant strands activate, shadow material surfaces, repress emotions, past life karma, even physical detox, called the ascension flu. This is the alchemical nigredo, the necessary dissolution before rebirth. Navigating the storm. Epsom salt baths to ground excess energy. Dream journaling. Many report DNA upgrades first manifest in lucid dreams. We stand at the precipice of biological and spiritual revolution, one that has been encoded in our cells since the beginning, waiting for this precise moment in cosmic time to unfold. The secret they try to bury is now rising, irrepressible, through the cracks of our collective awakening. Your DNA is not a life sentence written in stone. It is a living, breathing covenant with the infinite, the grand recoding. Every spiritual tradition whispers of a coming age when humanity would shed its limitations like an outgrown skin. The Mayans called it the fifth world, the Hindus Sati Yuga, the Kabbalists Tikkun Olam, the mending of reality itself. We are now crossing that threshold, not as passive witnesses, but as active participants in our own evolution. This is not about becoming superhuman. It is about becoming fully human, in the original, divine sense of the word. The God code in your DNA is the bridge back to your true nature, a being of light inhabiting matter, here to co-create with the cosmos itself. The choice before you. The implications of this knowledge are not abstract. They demand a response. Will you continue to see yourself as a victim of genetics or as the alchemist of your own biology? Will you dismiss ancient wisdom as myth or recognize it as advanced science waiting to be reclaimed? Will you wait for external saviors or awaken to the truth that you are the one you've been waiting for? The tools are in your hands. The path is open, but no one can walk it for you. A call to sovereigns. This is your invitation, not to follow, but to lead from within. Start today. Speak to yourselves, they are listening. Feed your light body with sound, with intention, with sacred silence. Release what no longer serves. Fear, outdated stories, the illusion of separation. Join the silent revolution. As you change your energy, you change the field for all. The dawn of the divine human is not a distant prophecy. It is here, now, unfolding in your very selves as you read these words. The question is no longer if you will awaken, but how brightly you choose to shine. The final secret? You were never broken. You were only sleeping.